your version of Snow White is different?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on...
In a surprising twist, Jenna Ortega, a celebrated young actress known for her dynamic roles, recently voiced her criticism of Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White, describing it as overly woke. Ortega's remarks have ignited a lively debate about modern adaptations of classic tales and whether they genuinely honor the essence of the original stories. Her critique raises important questions about the line between updating stories to reflect contemporary values and preserving the timeless qualities that made them beloved in the first place. Ortega, at just 22 years old, has already captivated Hollywood with her talent and versatility. She became a household name with her portrayal of Wednesday Addams in the hit Netflix series Wednesday, where she brought a fresh, compelling take on the iconic character. Her interpretation was celebrated for appealing to both young viewers and longtime Addams Family fans, as she managed to honor the character's dark charm while adding layers of depth and authenticity. Additionally, Ortega's work in the Scream franchise established her as a rising star in horror, showcasing her ability to adapt to a wide range of challenging roles. Ortega's performances have earned her a loyal fan base and critical acclaim, positioning her as one of the most promising young talents in the entertainment industry. Ortega's criticism of Snow White goes beyond mere stylistic choices, addressing a broader issue within Hollywood and the reimagining of classic tales in a way that feels disconnected from their original intent. She argues that while there is value in reinterpreting stories, creators must be cautious to maintain the heart of these tales. Fairy tales, she contends, have long resonated with audiences not just for their narratives but for the universal themes and morals they explore. These stories often touch on essential aspects of human nature and relationships, exploring themes of love, bravery, sacrifice, and resilience. When these elements are overshadowed by modern sensibilities or forced inclusivity, the stories risk losing their emotional impact and cultural significance. In her view, there is a delicate balance between updating narratives for a new generation and preserving the core of what makes them timeless. For instance, while contemporary audiences may look for diverse representation, it is essential to do so in a way that feels organic and respectful of the source material. For many, classic fairy tales evoke nostalgia and are tied to specific cultural and moral values. When Hollywood reinterprets these stories, there is a risk that they may alienate longtime fans who feel that the stories no longer resonate with the same emotional depth or relatability, love, and human complexity. In a world where fairy tales are increasingly being rewritten, Ortega's perspective suggests that creators have a responsibility to respect the essence of these stories even as they bring fresh perspectives. For Ortega, the tension lies in finding a way to enrich classic stories without imposing a modern lens that detracts from their original values. Her critique reflects a sentiment shared by many fans and critics who believe that classic tales can be both updated and faithful, preserving their timelessness while subtly incorporating relevant themes. In the end, Ortega's stance encourages a thoughtful approach to storytelling that respects both tradition and innovation. She advocates for adaptations that enhance rather than replace the core of these tales. As Hollywood continues to navigate this challenging balance, Ortega's comments serve as a reminder of the importance of honoring classic. For instance, Ortega's critique of the woke Snow White suggests that in the push to reflect modern values, creators may... Ortega's comments reflect a broader cultural discussion within Hollywood, where filmmakers are increasingly pressured to create narratives that address themes of diversity, inclusion, and social awareness. While this shift has led to positive changes, including more diverse storytelling, there is a growing concern that some adaptations may come across as disingenuous or overly politicized. They unintentionally strip away the magic and mystery that define these classic tales. The debate is not unique to Snow White. Similar conversations have arisen around other reimaginings, such as The Little Mermaid, where changes to character backgrounds and storylines have sparked controversy. Some argue that such adaptations can empower new generations by making stories more inclusive, while others feel that these adjustments compromise the authenticity and spirit of the original works. Ortega's remarks underline the value of artistic freedom, but she insists it should not come at the expense of storytelling integrity. Fairy tales, by their nature, transcend specific eras, offering lessons that endure across generations. They act as cultural touchstones, shaping perceptions of morality. Iconic. The heart of this debate is the question of what truly makes a story timeless. Can a classic be refreshed to align with contemporary values without losing its essential charm? For many, the beauty of tales like Snow White lies in their simplicity and the universal lessons they offer. These stories often embody traditional ideals and archetypes that people find comforting and relatable regardless of the era. Updating them to fit new social paradigms can risk severing the emotional connection that many fans feel, as these narratives often hold deep nostalgic value. Ortega's critique emphasizes the importance of balance. While it's possible and sometimes necessary to adapt stories to reflect the values of today's audiences, this process should not be about erasing the original message or moral. Fairy tales and classic narratives offer more than just entertainment, they act as cultural and moral touchstones. The idea that love, kindness, bravery, and sacrifice can triumph over evil is a timeless one. The challenge is to introduce diversity and new perspectives in a way that enhances, rather than overwrites, these enduring themes. And self-empowerment. Zegler's vision aims to reframe Snow White as a strong, independent figure rather than a passive character whose fate hinges on the arrival of a prince. In doing so, she seeks to reflect values that resonate with modern audiences, particularly around female empowerment and self-discovery. Zegler's approach mirrors a larger trend in Hollywood, where female characters are increasingly portrayed as strong, autonomous individuals rather than secondary figures in male-driven narratives. For many viewers, especially younger ones, this shift is positive, offering characters who inspire through independence and resilience. However, some fans of the original Snow White worry that this reinterpretation could undermine the classic appeal of the character and the story. The 1937 film is a landmark in animation and storytelling, celebrated for its innocence, charm, and emotional depth. Snow White's gentle nature and unwavering optimism have enchanted audiences for decades, and there is concern that turning her into a modernized figure may strip away the very traits that made her. The challenge for creators, Ortega suggests, lies in finding a way to respect the story's legacy while also making it relatable and engaging for today's audience. The demand for diversity and inclusion in storytelling is stronger than ever, and rightfully so. Audiences want to see more representation on screen, and filmmakers are increasingly called upon to ensure that stories reflect a wider range of experiences and perspectives. However, the question remains, how can these goals be achieved without distorting the soul of a classic tale? Ortega's critique underscores the responsibility creators bear when they decide to reinterpret iconic stories. They are tasked not only with telling a fresh story, but with safeguarding the legacy of characters and narratives that have resonated deeply with people for generations. Ortega's perspective resonates with many who believe that the heart of a story should remain intact even when it receives a modern update. Fairy tales and classic stories often convey universal themes that transcend generations: love, courage, sacrifice, and resilience. When these elements are obscured by modern sensibilities or forced attempts at inclusivity, it's easy to lose the magic that made the original stories unforgettable. In her view, adaptation should be an act of honoring, not replacing narratives, while embracing artistic evolution. For the many audiences who cherish these timeless stories, the hope is that future adaptations will continue to resonate, connecting past and present with integrity and creativity. The tension between honoring original stories and adapting them to align with modern societal standards is an ongoing challenge in the world of storytelling, particularly for beloved classics like Snow White. This issue is at the heart of Jenna Ortega's critique of Rachel Zegler's recent portrayal of Snow White, which she describes as overly woke. Ortega argues that while adapting timeless tales for contemporary audiences can be valuable, it's essential to retain their core essence. These stories have long been treasured for their fundamental truths and cultural values, and altering them too drastically can risk eroding the qualities that make them so powerful and captivating. It speaks to a larger cultural shift in Hollywood, where there is increasing pressure to create narratives that are socially conscious, inclusive, and progressive. Ortega's critique and Zegler's vision illustrate the complexity of this balancing act. They each represent different perspectives in an ongoing dialogue: how to update stories in a way that remains faithful to their original purpose while introducing elements that resonate with modern sensibilities. This is no easy feat, and the strong reactions from fans on both sides of the argument demonstrate just how deeply people feel about these characters and stories. In the end, the question remains open. Can we evolve these cherished narratives without losing the magic that captivated audiences in the first place? The path forward will likely involve trial and error as creators experiment with new approaches to adaptation. However, the conversation surrounding these choices is crucial. It ensures that as we update classic stories, we do so thoughtfully, respecting the legacy they carry and the impact they have on audiences worldwide. For creators like Ortega and Zegler, as well as for audiences, the hope is that future adaptations will be able to walk this fine line, honoring the timeless while embracing the contemporary. In doing so, they can continue to create stories that not only entertain but also resonate across generations, preserving the heart of these tales for years. Critics argue that Snow White's story embodies more than just a romantic journey. It's a tale of hope, courage, friendship, and inner strength. These qualities have resonated with generations, creating a character who is beloved for her kindness, resilience, and belief in the goodness of others. However, fans of the original are worried that Rachel Zegler's interpretation may overlook these cherished themes in favor of a more modern emphasis on empowerment. By focusing solely on making Snow White an independent figure, there's concern that this new retelling could lose the film's true magic, its ability to connect deeply with audiences and offer timeless lessons. The fear is that a version of Snow White focused solely on empowerment could risk ignoring the equally important value of community and the bonds that help her face adversity. This debate is part of a broader trend in Hollywood, where classic tales are frequently reimagined to align with contemporary values. Films like Aladdin and The Lion King have faced similar scrutiny, sparking discussions on how to honor a classic while still innovating to keep it relevant. The challenge is striking the right balance between respect for the source material and meaningful adaptation. Filmmakers must navigate these expectations with sensitivity, as audiences often feel a profound emotional connection to these stories. They're not merely entertainment, they're cultural touchstones, and every change to these beloved narratives is. As the industry continues to evolve, these conversations are essential in shaping the future of storytelling. Modern adaptations will inevitably influence how new generations perceive these stories, and they also shape our collective cultural memory. The responsibility that comes with adapting these classics is significant. Filmmakers have the power to preserve or alter the legacy of these tales for years to come. The debate over Snow White is not simply about a single movie. As excitement builds for the live-action release, audiences wonder if Zegler's portrayal will resonate with them or if it might push them away, undermining the connection that has made Snow White an enduring cultural icon. The ongoing discussion around Zegler's comments reflects how challenging it is to adapt beloved tales for modern audiences. As fans become more vocal about their expectations, filmmakers face growing pressure to deliver adaptations that both honor and refresh these stories. The backlash against Zegler's comments is a reminder of how deeply invested audiences are in these characters, with every adaptation scrutinized for its fidelity to the spirit of the original. Some fans have gone so far as to speculate about who might replace Zegler if she were to be recast, revealing how seriously people take this character and her portrayal. For them, any adaptation that diverges too far from the original risks diminishing the character's legacy, making the stakes incredibly high for filmmakers who seek to balance nostalgia with progress. This cultural divide over how to reimagine classic tales has intensified with the rise of social media, where fans can immediately voice their opinions, generating discussions that spread quickly. Platforms like Twitter are filled with reactions to Zegler's comments, with some users expressing frustration, disappointment, and even anger, while others champion the idea of a fresh, empowered Snow White. The vocal response from fans highlights how significant these characters are to people's personal and cultural identities. For many, Disney's classic animations formed a core part of their childhoods, shaping their understanding of kindness, bravery, and love. As a result, reinterpretations that depart too much from the source material can feel like a betrayal, sparking calls from some fans to boycott the upcoming film altogether. As the release of Snow White approaches, the conversations surrounding Zegler's portrayal illuminate a deeper cultural reckoning with how we reinterpret stories that are close to our hearts. Some see modern adaptations as an opportunity to correct outdated representations and add depth to characters who were once defined by simpler narratives. Others view these changes as unnecessary departures that undermine the story's timeless appeal. This ongoing dialogue reflects not only a shift in storytelling but also a broader societal conversation about honoring the past while embracing progress. Ultimately, this debate represents a crucial moment in the entertainment industry where nostalgia meets innovation, creating a unique challenge for storytellers tasked with honoring both tradition and change. The heart of the debate lies in a shared question: can new versions of classic tales resonate with both old and new audiences? As Hollywood continues to explore modern retellings, the hope is that these adaptations can find a middle ground, embracing contemporary values while preserving the essence of the stories that made these characters iconic. Adapting classic stories is not just about updating costumes or settings, it's about respecting the universal themes that have allowed these tales to endure. The Snow White controversy, whether seen as an opportunity for progress or as a risk to a cherished legacy, will undoubtedly shape the future of storytelling in Hollywood. For countless fans, classic tales like Snow White hold a special place in their hearts, woven with nostalgia, deep meaning, and cherished memories. These are more than mere narratives, they're cultural touchstones, marking moments of joy, comfort, and life lessons across generations. With the news that Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White will involve significant changes, fans have expressed concerns that these beloved elements might be compromised. Many worry that in modernizing the character, essential themes like friendship, courage, and community could be lost. Critics have joined the conversation, noting Zegler's vision for Snow White is sparking important conversations about storytelling, representation, and the evolving role of female characters in film. She has openly expressed her desire to portray Snow White as a strong, independent leader, which is a departure from the original character's arc, which emphasized innocence and kindness. This shift raises questions about whether such changes will enhance the story or risk alienating longtime fans who see Snow White as a symbol of purity and gentle strength. On one hand, she admires Disney for its storytelling magic, but on the other, she critiques the legacy of some of its older narratives, particularly Snow White's focus on romance. This mixed messaging has raised questions about the authenticity of her stance, fueling the perception among some that modern adaptations of classic tales are less about enhancing the story and more about fitting current cultural trends. While the introduction of empowered female protagonists was once welcomed as refreshing and needed, some audiences now feel this has become a tired formula, lacking the nuance and emotional depth that earlier portrayals of strong female characters offered. The ongoing debate around Zegler's Snow White reflects a pivotal moment in storytelling. Can modern narratives truly honor the classics while still appealing to today's audiences? The challenge for filmmakers is to adapt timeless stories in a way that respects their core elements while addressing modern expectations. Disney, in particular, finds itself at a crossroads, attempting to blend empowerment with the magic and wonder that defined its original works. However, the risk of alienating longtime fans remains. Many feel that the heart of these stories is being lost in a sea of progressive updates that, while well-intentioned, may fail to capture the spirit of the original tale. With fans closely watching, Disney's future success may depend on its ability to innovate without abandoning the timeless themes that have captivated generations. In response to the backlash, Zegler has directly addressed her critics, shedding light on the emotional toll of public scrutiny. In a recent profile for Variety, she expressed frustration, claiming that her words were misunderstood and taken out of context. Reflecting on the experience, Zegler spoke candidly about the difficulties women face in the public eye, noting, "I've watched women get torn down my whole life, my whole career." She highlighted the harsh realities of being a woman in Hollywood, where every statement can be dissected and criticized, often more intensely than from male counterparts. The response to her comments about Snow White underscores a double standard that remains prevalent in the industry. Zegler's frustration grew as clips from her past interviews resurfaced online in 2023, reigniting criticism. In one viral segment, she commented on how the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. "There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her, so we didn't do that this time." While Zegler's remarks were intended to critique aspects of the story she found outdated, they struck a nerve with fans. Many felt torn between their nostalgia for the original film and their openness to a modern interpretation. This clash between tradition and progress is at the heart of the Snow White debate, raising questions about whether it's possible to honor the past while embracing new perspectives. In another interview, Zegler doubled down on the idea that her version of Snow White wouldn't rely on a prince to save her or dream of true love as her ultimate goal. Instead, she explained that the remake would explore deeper themes beyond romance, focusing on Snow White's journey of self-discovery and independence. Despite the backlash, Zegler defended this direction, arguing that it reflects a realistic evolution of character. According to her, the film still includes a meaningful love story, but one that aligns with Snow White's growth as an independent individual rather than centering around a traditional fairy tale romance. Zegler's remarks underscore a broader shift in Hollywood, where there's an increasing push to rewrite female characters in ways that resonate with modern values. For some, this evolution of not just for this film, but for how the studio handles future reboots and reimaginings of its classic tales. Fans and industry insiders alike are on edge, wondering whether audiences will embrace this new vision or reject it in favor of the classic they grew up with. In today's era, where nostalgia often collides with the push for modern values, Snow White has come to represent more than just a movie. It's a litmus test for the future of Disney storytelling. This debate speaks to a larger cultural question about Disney's role in preserving classic tales while adapting to evolving societal values. Snow White reflects Disney's evolving approach to storytelling, which could shape its trajectory for years to come. With fans deeply invested in these beloved stories, Disney's success with this adaptation has become a reflection of the broader challenge facing the entertainment industry, without sacrificing the essence of what makes these stories special. As we await the release of Snow White, Disney must navigate the demands of a loyal fan base while also appealing to new generations. The outcome will likely be closely watched as a sign of how well the company can balance respect for its storied past with a commitment to inclusivity and representation in its narratives. In a time when each creative decision is heavily scrutinized, the response to Snow White could significantly shape Disney's brand and future projects. What do you think about Disney's new take on Snow White? Is it a refreshing update for modern times, or does it risk losing the essence of the story that many grew up with? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more in-depth looks at upcoming films. Thanks for watching.